I didn't watch that and think they were absolutely, completely blitzed and pulled apart like a lot of the coverage has been, if I'm honest.
No, I agree.
Hello and welcome back to Back 10 from All Out Rugby League, powered by Smart Energy GB. Leading the smart meter rollout across Great Britain. With a smart meter, you can tackle your energy use head on and find smarter ways to save money at home. Well, the last time the Ashes took place was 22 years ago. Tony Blair, of course, was Prime Minister back in 2003, and Busted released Crashed the Wedding, which was number one way back there. Of course, Australia defeated Great Britain 18-12 at Huddersfield. But, again, roll forward 22 years, and the Ashes returned in front of a record crowd at Wembley Stadium. Joining me this week, Matt Shaw, as always, and I'm delighted to welcome our guest, a good friend of mine, and an absolute legend, an immortal of our game, James Roby. Robes, how are you?
Cheers. Thanks for having me. Yeah, very good, thanks.
Well, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you do not miss anything across the world of rugby league here at Back 10. Also, if you're watching on a mobile phone or tablet, remember to swipe left and hit that hype button so we can reach audiences farther and wider and help bring you all the quality content that we know you love here at Back 10. But for now, let's get into the show. Well, there was a new record set at Wembley Stadium at the weekend for the first test as Australia defeated England, again in front of a record crowd. Plenty of guests at the game as well. The Speaker of the House, Lindsay Hoyle, was there, and he gave the Ashes a shout-out in Parliament. Matt, it's about time that Rugby League gets the international recognition it deserves.
Well, for sure, and I think there's been some developments on that front, hasn't there, more recently with a bit more of a structured international calendar. But let's be right, the Ashes is the pinnacle, certainly this side of the world. So to have the Aussies over here now, and I think we saw it last week with the build-up, you know, they're invited down to Downing Street, Wembley, all the other things that went on. It showed the cultural importance of the Ashes and the impact it can have for rugby league in this country. So we'll get onto the game in a minute. While that didn't go to plan, I think the build-up and the crowd showed that the Ashes is very, very important to rugby league in this country.
No, you're right. The build-up was incredible. You know, we saw those scenes down at the players outside of 10 Downing Street. Matt, you even had a photo down there, which we can now see. And, you know, Matt Shaw for Prime Minister, I'm not too sure about that. He'd probably be late for that as well, mine. But
I knew the dig was coming. I was waiting for it.
But anyways, look, let's get into the game itself, Robs.
Yeah.
Robs, you were there. Tell us a little bit about your day, the atmosphere, you know, and just give us a bit of a flavour around what you thought.
Yeah, so obviously went down to Wembley on Saturday. Me and my son drove down, did there and back in a day. But yeah, luckily John Ledger, who does stuff with Rugby League Cares, and he looks after the Lions Association. So he managed to get some tickets via that. So it was a pretty good day, to be honest, in terms of going down. You know, pretty easy, parking, getting into the stadium, all that, and then bump into a few old faces as well in the lounge, but in the Bobby Moore suite which was a nice big lounge, and Leon Price, Lee Gilmore, Paul Wallins were obviously ex-teammates of mine, and we were laughing about it as well at the time, because obviously we were discussing before the game, playing Australia, we were all part of the last team to beat Australia, and then there was plenty of other legends of rugby league in the lounge as well. Tickets were great. Obviously, the game itself. Do you want to go over it all now, or?
Well, listen, you fire away, mate.
I thought ultimately, sort of first 20 minutes set for set, we were right in it, weren't we? And then we started the game with physicality, with intent. It was looking really positive, and then they scored that Reece Walsh try a bit out of nowhere, to be honest. But then we kind of create a little bit of opportunity, and I think there was a key point towards the back end of that first half when Jake Wardle made the break down the left. It's 2v1. Reece Walsh obviously knocks the ball down. We get the ball back. Obviously, we get another set, and I think we may have even George Williams kicks a little grubber through, and we get a repeat set again. So drop off. So we were building a little bit of pressure there, and I think being in the stadium, the energy really lifted, and that was our really good chance, to be honest, to get some points on the board. But obviously, it wasn't to be, and then they snuck a little penalty kick before half time, and then I think they just got a bit of a jump on us in the second half, straight from the off. Reece Walsh with that break again. The Crichton try looked a bit soft, to be honest. But then again, we stayed in it. We created opportunities, but ultimately, on the whole, Australia were the better team. But there was some good signs there, and we just need to sort of finish our sets better, especially when we're down there and apply a bit more pressure.
Yeah, look, definitely there was some good signs there. I thought Dom Young had a sterling game, man. One thing I sort of felt watching it was that every time Australia turned the ball over, which they did a lot in that first half, very uncharacteristic of them. I think within 2-3 plays, England had come up with an error again, and you just felt that they needed to sort of finish them sets off, turn the ball over, whether it be a tackle 5 metres away, or because I thought physically, defensively early on, they were flying in and climbing in, and listening to a couple of the interviews afterwards, Nathan Cleary and Crichton saying that they knew that was going to come, but in the end, look, Australia completed at 69%, and my concern and worry is, had that been around 80-85%, what could that have looked like, man?
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the concern, isn't it? We can probably all identify Australia weren't anywhere near their best. Now, England can improve, and they can hit the level Australia played at Wembley, I've no doubt. But what happens if Australia go up another? Can England get to that? And that's my concern as well. I think just a few of my observations. I absolutely agree with James about the pack and the start of the game superbly well. I'm just a bit concerned about in good ball through the middle. I thought Morgan Knowles was tremendous defensively, and Matty Lees as well were both outstanding. But I thought in that first half in particular, he tried to play through Morgan Knowles a lot through the middle. It's not naturally his game, is it? He's not the ball playing 13 like
Isaiah Yeo.
Yeah, or a Sean O'Loughlin back in the day, or even a Victor Radley who we know we're missing.
I do think he's very capable of that, though. He's done it for St Helens for many years, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it just didn't feel... It just felt a bit clunky through that middle. There were balls that went to ground. I think Matty Lees put down a pass, didn't he, from Knowles on play 2 or 3. There was a couple that went... It just didn't feel quite right. And the other thing is, while the pack's got a lot of criticism, I thought Ethan Havard set the tone fairly well defensively with Matty Lees, and there was others that did well, but I don't know who's got the carry and the leg drive to worry the Aussies. I don't know in that middle unit who's got the big carry. And I know that your wingers are your guys who do your yardage now. But yeah, I don't feel like we've got much leg drive in the middle. I think all of them are very, very good players, but they're bringing similar qualities. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how you change that.
Well, look, we'll come back to the game as well, but obviously you two would being down there. I just wanted to give a shout out really to Rugby League Commercial in terms of what they brought to the whole build up. Really, we've been building up for this for months now, haven't we? But a big shout out to them. It really felt like Rugby League was a big event at the weekend. Even watching at home, it felt that this was a top sporting event that needs to be a regular thing if possible. And obviously that crowd, 60,000 down at Wembley. The last crowd was 57,000, just over, back in 1994. Great Britain beating the Kangaroos 8-4. So, look, massive strides, moving forward. You think about 94, it was a different time, wasn't it? And to go better than that crowd in the capital, big tick in the box, Robs. Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I say, it was... It's the sort of green shoots for the game in general. I think going back to your point earlier, Matt, it's you've sold out the Everton Stadium, you've sold out Headingley, unprecedented demand, if you like, for tickets for the games, and to go down to Wembley's humongous, and it's so big. To get 60,000 there, I think was a great achievement in itself. There was a lot of Australians there, a little bit more than I actually expected, to be honest.
So I'm not sure what the ratio is in terms of how many of those are UK-based or London-based Aussies, but there was quite a lot of them. But yeah, it was just great sort of atmosphere, great game for Rugby League. To kind of get it out there, and obviously probably helps the London thing as well, doesn't it? Grow the game in London. Let's get a few new eyeballs, a few new sort of corporate businesses interested in Rugby League, because ultimately we all want the game to grow.
Yeah, without doubt. Look, there's been loads of excitement on everything in Vegas. It seems like the game's in a decent place now. It seems like there's a lot more positivity rather than doom and gloom. But switching it back to sort of doom and gloom, right? We're here to talk about the Ashes. You mentioned those Aussie fans there, Robes. Well, they got to see a real superstar of the game, Reece Walsh. He was electric, wasn't he? 2 tries, 240 odd metres. Breaking tackles for fun. He's a special talent, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely. He was probably the difference in the game. You could say, obviously, like you say, he's pretty much, them 2 sort of interceptions that he knocked down from us. Scores 2 tries, makes a few breaks, just constantly looks threatening. Every time he gets the ball, they have that sort of a genuine lead runner, and he gets the ball at the back. His speed it threatens defences no matter where he is. And he's obviously got that sort of spontaneous off the cuff side to him as well, which makes him, unpredictable at times. So, yeah, he's a great player, and obviously he's hit form at the right time, hasn't he? He did it with Brisbane in the grand final, and then obviously he's come over here in his first international game, was it, I think, and he's got man of the match. So, well played to him. But, yeah, I'm sure that Shaun Wane will be, doing the homework and giving the lads pointers on how to control him a little bit better next week.
And Robs, you've been in the inner sanctum in those games. You played against Australia. You played some against the greatest players during that time. How do you stop them? What do you do? Well,
it's obviously that they're up there, the sort of the best players in the world, if you like, in terms of this big sort of persona, big brand of the NRL, and the talk like the celebrities and stuff like that, and that all comes into a bit of a motivating factor as well for England. And I think obviously England have got to learn the lessons from the game. We are not a bad team, you know what I mean? We've just played a little bit more poorly than what we probably would have liked, and we need to definitely finish our sets better, like I say, especially when we're down there, apply pressure a bit more, be a bit more consistent with our approach, and consistent with sort of turning that screw and staying in the game. And you only need, in these big games, there's fine margins. You only need 1 bounce of the ball, 1 call off the referee, and then next minute we're back in it. We get points on the board, momentum swings, the crowd are behind us. So I genuinely don't believe we're far off. And I watched that game, and I think what we're all guilty of at times, and especially us as probably maybe an English thing, a bit of a negativity bias where there's this unprecedented sort of demand for the Ashes, the upcoming, like we say, the ticket sales. Everybody's really excited, hopeful, ambitious, and then the first result doesn't go our way. I think we're all a bit guilty of, the writing's on the wall, if you like. No, let's get behind the lads. Do you know what I mean? Let's pump the lads up. Let's show them that we're there to support them. We believe in them. We know that they can, right a few wrongs. They know that more than anybody themselves. And I genuinely believe the next test will be, obviously much improved. And, I'm going to back us.
So, Matt, I'll go to you first. Looking ahead to the next test, does Shaun Wane stick to his team? Does he make changes? What do you think? How do you think the cards will fall?
Well, reading into what he said after the game about end of sets, in my head, I'm going, he's bringing Harry Smith back in next week.
Interesting. See, I never picked up on that. But now you've said it.
He spoke a lot.
Suggest that, wouldn't it?
He spoke a lot about end of sets not being good enough, and I thought I was just going Harry Smith's playing next week, and it would be for Mikey Lewis. The interesting part for me is, does he completely drop Mikey Lewis, or does he put him on the bench and give up a hooker?
Jez Litton did well though.
Jez Litton was tremendous. I thought Jez Litton was England's best player.
I don't think you can. I don't think you can do that.
It's an option. He's got options. That's a good thing. He has got options. But I do think, rightly or wrongly, he will play. The big one that everyone's talking about is at fullback, and Jack Wellesby. I think if we're honest, Jack didn't have his best game. He was shut down in attack, which isn't all his fault. There are other reasons for that, but he'll be disappointed with the
The Crichton,
he just don't come off his line, does he?
Look, that's made sort of, it's made social media clips all around the world, even Australia, and some people questioning what his movements were there. I think for Jack, look, he's had a difficult year, hasn't he? He's had a lot of success early on as a young man, and Robes is probably his first real. I'm not going to call it a bump in the road, but I'm going to call it his biggest challenge to date. He's had that injury last year and. He's played 1, 6, 13. It's very difficult to get. Look, I'm not making an excuse, by the way, because I know Jack, he would not be happy watching that back. But like I say, is this his first real test? And also, it'd be interesting to see what Shaun Wane, because Shaun Wane spoke very highly of Jack. Now, it'd be interesting to see if he sticks with him or he rolls the dice and brings in Brimson trying to change and save the series. I can't see. I think it would be a bit foolish to change half of that spine for such a big game. Robs, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Jack will he can interpret and analyse the game better than anybody, to be honest. He's such a sort of experienced, sort of mature head for such a young person. And yeah, maybe that this is a little bit of sort of adversity for him at the moment, but I know what sort of character he is. He'll come through it well, and I suppose, like you say, there, Shaun Wane has got trust in Jack. Credits, I think, was the term that got used on the podcast a week or two ago. And yeah, Jack's, we all know what Jack Wellesby's capable of. He's an unbelievable player, and I think, when you start sort of suggesting replacements already straight away, you're at danger of sort of losing a bit of consistency. And you've got to remember, this team's come together at the end of a season. They've not really, they've played together. They're straight into a do or die test series against Australia. So they're going to sort of make a few errors, pick up on or improve as they go along, as you like. So yeah, I'm just a bit. You've got to get the balance right between, swapping and changing players, but also giving them the chance to get it right.
Matt Robes makes a great point. Brimson hasn't been, apart from a couple of training sessions, he hasn't been anywhere in and around any of these players. So it is a big call, but one we'll keep our eye on. Another call that's sort of been that I've seen come up as well is by potentially changing in the back row. Callum Watkins finding a way in. Where does he go? Again, you talk about credit. Well, John Bateman's got a lot of credit with Shaun Wane. Mm-hmm. Do you think there's a place for or a shout for Watkins to come in?
There's a shout. I mean, Kai Pearce-Paul was fairly quiet, wasn't he, as well? I know that John Bateman's been the dominant talking point in the squad, isn't he? But I thought he defended well. He did what he was in the team to do.
Was the size of Nsemba missed? Now, I know his form wasn't great going into it, but look, we're sat here now with Captain Hindsight caps on, aren't we?
Yeah.
But there's a big body there, isn't there?
Yeah, I get the point. There's an argument. You can make the argument, but I'm not sure. I didn't think the issue really was in the back row. I think the more interesting one's Morgan Smithies. Just defensively, I thought he's got everything that Shaun Wane wants. He's got everything. I think he's probably better at the elements that Waney were looking for from his middles than some.
So where would you play him then?
I'd probably start him on the bench.
Yeah.
And take out one of the props. I mean, Ethan Havard had one stint, didn't he? Played 21 minutes, so is Morgan Smithies better in that role, starting, potentially? Mike McMeekin, I thought, probably had a few defensive moments he would have been pleased with. It's tough. It's really tough because, as James says, you've got this, you don't want to just throw it all apart and make wholesale changes when it's been one game and these guys don't get to play together a lot. It's tough. It's not easy, but there are some valid options on the sidelines to pick from.
You've just said there something that's just made me think these guys don't get to play a lot. Australia, the NRL, the intensity of that, look, it's speaking to Kevin Brown over the weekend, and he said when he played, it took him 60 minutes to realise that they aren't superhuman, Yeah. But so the NRL, as much as we can all accept that the intensity and the quality is probably or is arguably ahead of Super League, Well, the top four, I remember speaking to Kevin Nagama when he came over, and he said that anytime he played in a top four Super League game, he felt like it was NRL intensity. The problem is, after that, there just isn't. So these players in Australia getting exposed to that. Then they get in the state of origin. Then they're getting quality test series. They're not playing, with all due respect, against Scotland, France. You know, they're getting and does that show when an event like that happens at the weekend? The fact that the amount of quality and exposure and intense games that they're a part of, Robs, is that a huge advantage for them?
I think it is, yeah, because it becomes the weekly norm for them. And I also think from an emotional point of view as well. I think every time you get the chance to play for your country, obviously it's a huge honour and a huge privilege, and something that you'd never really take for granted. And I think that tying in with this sort of, the demand, the sort of anticipation ahead of this series, we've got our lads there, obviously. Singing the national anthem, for example, is one of the proudest moments that you'll ever experience as a player. And there's so much emotion and, nervous energy, if you like. You know it's a big game. You know you've got to perform. You know the eyeballs are on you. There's pressure. I think that emotion can sometimes drain energy from players at times. And you can almost get too caught up in it. And you've got to sort of almost experience that a little bit more regular. Maybe, I'm saying Australia, they probably got the state of origin, which is, equivalent to that. And you sort of, you're privy to that a little bit more, so you become a little bit more comfortable and you let the emotion sort of fuel your focus rather than cloud it.
Is that, just on your point about the NRL, is that a strong argument to bring Brimson and Smithies in? Because they're used to playing these guys every week.
Yeah, no, but absolutely. Look, guys, we'd love to hear from you at home as well. As always, let us know in the comments, who you think you'd like to see brought in and out for the second test. We'd love to hear from you. But yeah, just touching on changes. Australia, obviously Isaiah Yeo won't play. Do you think they make any changes heading into the second game?
Not sure. I mean, that's the other scary thing, isn't it? They were without the captain for about 75 minutes. And but I know, speaking to a lot of the Aussie journalists and just people who are not in Australia, they're all really wanting to see Tommy Dearden play as a 13. I think that'd be pretty cool to see, actually. So maybe that's the play. Maybe that's the play for them. Who knows? I can't see them changing much up. I mean, they played pretty well in the whole. But then you look at the players that didn't play and who they can bring in.
That's the frightening part, isn't it, for Australia, Robes? Yeah. They could have, if everybody's fit, ready to roll out for Australia, they could probably pick 2.5 squads, couldn't they? Yeah.
Yeah, they've got a bigger talent pool, if you like, haven't they? Obviously, more players playing the game, more money in the game, all that sort of stuff. But at the same time, I love the sort of, I don't know if you call it David v Goliath, but it's, that works in our favour for me. I love that stuff. It's, they can have whatever they want, they can bring whoever they want, but I know what our lads are capable of, and the lads who are obviously in the squad now going into the game next week, they'll be using that. They know exactly what they're capable of, and there is some positives from the game at the weekend. Do you know what I mean? They'll be looking at those positives, trying to sort of emulate that, trying to build on that for next week. But yeah, and I know what these lads are capable of, and
you sort of jumped ahead there into my next question, really, which was going to be, you spoke there about the national anthem, that sort of draining the energy from you, the whole lead up to it. Are the players arguably now, look, they've got that monkey off the bat. They know what they're stepping into. Some of those players who had never played against Australia now know, a bit like what Kevin Brown said, that they're not superhuman. They are playable. They are beatable. If Farnworth and Wardle finish them chances, I'm not saying it changed the outcome of that game, but it certainly gives them belief. Are they ready now to go, right, listen, fair enough, you got the jump on us there. This second test has to be, it has to just, there's no second chances, is there?
Yeah, I think there's an element of that, definitely. I think quite often you see it, or teams experience it, where they reach finals, they get to finals, and they may come off on the wrong end of the result, or and then they learn lessons from that. I think, looking back at St Helens, we've done that over the years, learned plenty of lessons, and look at Hull KR, they're a prime example last year. They've been to a final, they've lost it. And then this year, they've learned the lessons, they've righted the wrongs, they've not got too caught up in the emotional side of things and the distractions, if you like, outside of the game, and just got on with the job at hand. And I think definitely that'll hopefully we can use in our factor or in our favour. This year or this week.
Matt?
Yeah, I do think I got hammered a bit for saying this. I don't think they're as far away as the scoreline suggests.
Yeah.
Just because you take those chances and it's a very different game. But the thing is, when you play against a team that good, you have to take those chances.
Because they do, don't they?
They do.
They do. That showed that. Again, I mentioned 69% completion. They made 14 errors to England's 11. There wasn't too much really, in terms of the packs, meters wise and tackles and everything was, I think England made about 30 more tackles in the whole game. So not massive amounts apart. The difference was that when they made a break, they scored.
The difference was execution.
Yeah.
And look, I think Shaun Wane was quite open about this before the test. They would have to play at the best, they have to take the chances, and they need a little bit of luck from the referee. And they didn't get the luck from the referee either, because let's be right, the first try is a forward pass from the winger. Mm-hmm. It's a forward pass. And when Reece Walsh just decides to hold down Herbie Farnworth in the corner, off the kick return.
Yeah.
That's a penalty.
Yeah.
Now, listen, does it change the outcome of the game? No, no,
but it's those moments. It's those moments.
You need those moments to go your way, and they didn't go the way. So, and when they don't go the way and you don't take your chances, that's probably the outcome.
Yeah.
What we saw at 26-6. But I didn't watch that and think they were absolutely, completely blitzed and pulled apart like a lot of the coverage has been. If I'm honest.
No, I agree.
Well, look, just sort of slightly digressing away from the Ashes, because it was a big story, Matt. Peter Volandi's talking about the global round that's going to be coming up, and they're talking about playing games in London, which would be great again to see, Hong Kong, Singapore, Dubai, Vegas. That would be pretty cool for the game, wouldn't it?
Sounds expensive for our studio team who are going to want us at all these games. I'll just get that into them now and let them start thinking about that. It is very cool. There's interesting talks taking place this week. There's a couple of Super League clubs meeting with Peter Volandi's Andrew Abdo about the NRL Super League coming together. I'm
hearing that's gathering momentum, isn't it?
It is, and people don't realise, I don't think. I think quietly there's been a bit of progress on that. A long way to go, but probably a bit closer than people think.
Roby, do you think that'd be a good thing for the game? Bringing more NRL in and sort of using them as... helping the competition grow, expand. You've seen what they're doing out there, and you talked about, the bigger talent pool, the wages, etc. In order for us to realistically catch up, we have to move forward with something, don't we?
Yeah.
Otherwise, we get left behind.
I think something probably needs to change. And when you look at the NRL and sort of the business model, the amount of profit, if you like, the growth of the game over the broadcast revenue, it's all sort of really positive in comparison to ourselves. And I understand it's a different sporting landscape, but if we can sort of learn some lessons off them and sort of jump on the back of their success, and they want to pump some money into rugby league over here, well, albeit, I think it'll be a pretty good boost for the game. The only thing that I'm quite sceptical about is what does it look like specifically in terms of players and stuff. They're not just going to flood our market, if you like, with loads of Aussies. As long as we still get the chance to develop our homegrown talent and prioritise that and have as many sort of English lads playing in Super League as possible, then I can't see many problems with it at the moment.
Well, we'll see how that one develops over the course of the off-season as well. And, just one final touch on heading towards Saturday. Everton's ground sold out. Sold out very, very quickly. That atmosphere... I can't think the last time a rugby league game was so much in anticipation for fans.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't know how this will be received. I was a bit disappointed with the atmosphere at Wembley. I thought it was pretty flat for large parts. There was that period where they put a bit of pressure on it, and you mentioned, and it picked up a bit. But generally speaking, there were times where I could hear players clap at Wembley with 60,000 people. The atmosphere never picked up. Now, I don't know if that's a Wembley issue. I don't know if that's the fact that we're not used to supporting England. There's no chance. There's no familiarity with it.
Yeah. Why is that? Because football,
we don't play
football
enough.
just gets behind it, doesn't
but
it?
There are enough games. There are more. The English football team plays more games, don't they?
I was thinking the same thing. I reckon we need some songs.
Yeah,
some
we
of them
do.
fans out there, you need to, get some English songs that we can all sing.
You two should start them off on Saturday.
Oh yeah, right.
But yeah, it's no, I agree. If we could get the fans a little bit more vocal and a bit more unified, then it would help. Yeah.
Well, look, during the season, me, Matt, we challenged our guests and we challenged fans at home as well to give us their prediction, their scoreline, the winning margin, and as a game of the week each and every week in the regular rounds. However, we are going to continue that throughout the Ashes. I won't tell you who has the overall winner of the predictions table because he probably want to tell you all himself.
I'm saying nothing. I'm humble.
You're humble, right? No, he's not. Trust me, he's not. So well done to Matt. Obviously, he won the. So it turns out you do know what you're talking about.
I don't. It's just a bit of luck, really.
But look, we thought we'd go a little shot at the remainder of the series. There's no table, so we're just gonna throw it out there, guys at home. We want you to join in as well. So we need who you think's going to win, the winning margin, and the correct score. Don't forget as well in your comments to swipe left, hit that hype button so we can reach farther and wider audiences. You get 3 chances to hit that hype button throughout any of our content across all our shows. Make sure you keep doing that. It really, really helps us out here at Back 10. So, right then, go on, Robes. I'll put you on. Who wins? What's the margin? And what's the score?
Next week, I've got England win by 4 points. We'll go for 16-12.
I love how he just says it with such
love that
bang. Hey, he's not even entertaining the Aussies.
No.
Matt?
Closer, but same outcome for me. Australia 22, England 10.
Australia 22, England 10. Right. Well, look, I really hope England win. I really do, for the sake of the game, for everything. But I just think Australia will win. I think they'll win again. I think, we said earlier on that Australia, the frightening part, the worrying part is that they can go up a couple of gears. Can England go up? Of course they can. I just don't know if they can go that far up. I'm going to go an Australia win, and I'm going to go 24-12. Australia win 24-12. So don't forget, guys, let us know your thoughts. Let us know who you want in and out of the squad this week as we head into the second game, that all-important game. Of course, if Australia win, they will secure the series with a 2-0 win heading into Game 3, which, of course, is another sold-out venue at Headingley. And let us know those scorelines, those predictions, and the winning margins. But for now, for myself and Matt and James, it's a goodbye, and we look forward to seeing if England can rescue the series and bring it back to 1-1. So that's full time here at All Out Rugby League, powered by Smart Energy, the team helping households across Great Britain take control with their energy smart meters. A smart meter lets you see how much energy you're using, so you can save when it matters. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye for now.